Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, David Riggleman, Communications Director for the City of Las Vegas. Coming up on this show, we tell you about some of the major accomplishments and projects completed in Ward 1 over the past year. And later in the show, you'll meet one of the hardworking, dedicated members of the Ward 1 team. Of course, the councilman who represents Ward 1 is Brian Knudsen. He joins me now. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, David.
It's great
How are
to
you
see
doing?
you.
Good to see you as well.
We're socially distanced, as you can tell, because it's still COVID. But, you know, we're getting through it. We're taking it a day at a time.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah,
it's fine.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. So, you know Ward 1 very, very well. You've represented that ward for about a year now, but lived there longer than that.
Yes.
But for the folks out there that don't know exactly where the ward is located, well, don't sweat it. We're going to show you. It's really right in the heart of the valley, right where that 1 is located on the map, appropriately enough. It really encompasses our downtown area, runs kind of along the south side of US 95, but then makes that turn to the north. If you live in that area or work in that area, then you are in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. And if you're a resident out there, you are represented by Brian Knudsen, who's been in office. It's hard to believe you've been in office for a little bit over a year now.
Over a year, yeah.
It's gone by fast.
Feels like yesterday.
I know, and then pandemic came, and so it's been a really simple, easy year.
Time doesn't exist in a pandemic, so.
That is very true, very true. Brian, of course, had been a former city employee before he went off to do other things and then ran for city council. So you know the organization very well. The organization knows you. The employees here know you very well because you were one of us.
Yes.
And I think that's been an advantage, is my sense. We've talked about this on this program. Coming in, you kind of knew who the players were and who did what and how the organization functioned. So that gave you really the opportunity to just hit the ground running in that first year.
I think so, and it's comfortable. I know exactly what the city can do, and I know what some of the other jurisdictions can do, and I know all the people, and so I still consider myself one of you. So I don't like to separate myself.
Vice versa. Yeah. So it's very good. Well, one of the things that was very cool that you did over this past year is that you posted this on Facebook. You said, Team Knudsen recently released our Ward 1 annual report, which includes several accomplishments and projects we've been doing for the residents in the city of Las Vegas. And this is great. This was, and it was really something to see because you guys put together all these accomplishments, projects completed, and, you'd kind of figure, well, it was a pandemic this year, so we may have a little less than we had hoped for, but really it was an impressive list of things you did manage to accomplish through it all.
I think for me, the most important part is transparency. For all the folks out there that are wondering, like, what do elected officials do? Because when you get up on stage, you have your prepared talking points, and sometimes you're kind of fake. Politicians can be kind of fake. As a politician,
Really?
I'm telling you, you're a little bit fake sometimes. So it was important for me to kind of document everything that we're proud of. Also talk about some of the challenges we had. Obviously, there was a lot of them. And we talked about this on the Facebook. What was shocking to me is looking at the past year, everything I did seemed to revolve around alcohol.
Yeah, right.
But during a pandemic, alcohol really kind of saved a lot of our smaller businesses and are continuing to save them.
Explain how, Councilman. Yeah, that was an opportunity for restaurants to keep their doors open by being able to do curbside with alcohol, which we would never have allowed before.
So for our small businesses, it's those mom and pop shops, it's the bars, it's the restaurants. A lot of their profit is really based off of alcohol. And so during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, it created some significant challenges for employment. It created significant challenges for income. This is all related to the economic hardships we have now. And so we saw an opportunity in creating that curbside pickup. The city of Las Vegas was the first entity to do that, and that quickly spread throughout the entire valley because it was a way to keep the doors open for some of these smaller businesses, and still is.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud of the fact that I was able to sponsor a whole bunch of alcohol-related ordinances because I want our small businesses to thrive, and for everyone who's been able to do curbside pickup or have delivery of alcohol or make sure they visit their favorite restaurants and get alcohol, that's what really kept the doors open and kept paychecks coming in and rent being paid, and I'm proud of that, and I'm really proud of that.
Well, I think really the bigger picture in that too, Councilman, is that you were willing to think outside of the traditional box of how we regulate and how we do things. But the pandemic changed all of that, and so you were open to, hey, let's try to look at things differently to help these businesses through this really difficult time. Because we would never have allowed that pre-pandemic. It didn't allow it,
right,
but changed that when the world changed.
And we have to adjust quickly, and luckily we have an amazing team at the City of Las Vegas, and we know how to adjust quickly when you have to, and so the world is different. We need to be different with it.
Yeah. Councilman, of the things that you accomplished over this last year, a couple of highlights that you're the most proud of.
So the keeping the small businesses was the thing that I was most proud of. I'm really proud of the team that I put together, because for all the people that call the office and email the office, they're working with not only me, but Dorian and Carl and Antonia. And so we are responding to lots and lots of requests.
Yes, you are.
And it's not us. We're a conduit to the rest of the city. And so I'm really proud of the fact that I have a team that responds to people, that is respectful, and we can have dialogue around what's right and wrong, and what's up and down, and what's black and white. And that's what I'm most proud of, is this honest dialogue and transparency being a key part of why I ran for office, to talk about what is possible in local government and how we have a lot of room to grow, to improve, but we're also doing a really good job.
Yeah. We're going to meet Carl, one of his team, a little bit later in this program. You'll enjoy hearing from him. Councilman, some of the things coming up in the next year that I think probably medical district's got to be in this, the groundbreaking of UNLV's medical schools.
When we talk about accomplishments related to the medical district, we rezoned much of Charleston to allow for greater density, and the groundbreaking of the medical school. So during the pandemic, we really pushed that through as quickly as possible, because we want to get shovels in the ground and a building up, and the medical school thriving in the medical district. It is thriving, but a building, a concrete structure that's paid for by generous donors in our community, it's going to be a game changer for the medical district,
Absolutely.
for Ward 1, for the city of Las Vegas, for the Valley, for the state.
And for healthcare across our whole region, yeah, absolutely.
I would love to say that that's my accomplishment. My job was to make it through as the Planning Commission as quickly as possible, so that they can get shovels in the ground. And I'm really proud of I'm proud of my role in that, but there's a whole lot of other people that should be proud as well.
Yeah, well, very good, and we're looking forward to the school coming up out of the ground, despite what's going on in the world right now. Councilman, one thing, Las Vegas is a wonderfully diverse community. We love to celebrate that diversity here in Las Vegas. Something that was really cool. I don't know if this was your brainchild or who came up with this. This is a great idea. We have sidewalks painted to reflect the different diverse groups in our community, including our LGBTQ community. We have a rainbow sidewalk. This is really cool. Now, this is the day it was dedicated. You can't miss this, but the bottom line is that it just helps designate some of that diversity within our community. And it was a wonderful idea and a simple way to do it, too.
And it's not my idea at all. I was lucky enough to show up and be there. This is my stomping grounds. Although this is Councilwoman Diaz's ward.
That's true. We should mention it's actually in Ward 3.
It's in Ward 3, but everyone there knows me, and I know them. And this is, if you're going to go have a drink or someplace to eat, right there, right off of Charleston and First Street, there's plenty of places to go, from the Garden, which is where the rainbow was painted on the sidewalk.
Right, exactly right there.
To Rebar, to Artifice, to the newer establishment, Berlin. There's lots of places in the area. So October is Pride Month. It's a time for LGBTQIA+ individuals to celebrate being proud, celebrate being who they are, and letting the world know that it's okay to be whoever you want to be. And the rainbow flag is a symbol of that. And so it was Eduardo Cordova with the Garden right there off of Charleston and First Street whose brainchild that was. And there was amazing staff in Public Works Department that spent months kind of planning out and putting paint on the ground. And
yeah, it turned out great.
It's not going anywhere, so people can walk by and feel proud about who they are and recognize that this city recognizes them.
Yeah, check it out. As Councilman said, Charleston, First Street in that area. And we saw Councilwoman Diaz was out there, Bear Goodman, as well as yourself. And again, all of you talk about, all of you members of the City Council talk about how wonderfully diverse our community is. Mm-hmm. And that's really one of the things that makes Las Vegas such a great place to live. The mayor has said we're kind of the melting pot of the melting pot, and that makes Las Vegas just a great place to live. So.
And for people in minority groups, being one myself, it's important to know that people see you. People know who you are, people care about who you are, and you get to be who you want to be.
Yeah, and you even serve on the city council and everything else. So,
you can do anything you want to do. And Kate was there with me, so she got to wander around. There's a giant puppy, so she was wandering around petting the puppy. So cool. most people know me by now. I bring my kids to a lot of things because I want to expose them to the world around us, and they create fun, interesting challenges.
They do, as children always do, Councilman.
You can't be fake with children. I can tell everyone that. There's no being fake when you're sitting at a podium and your 2-year-old's trying to throw a sucker at your face. There's no fake there.
No,
that's real.
But you know what? She's 2, so that's what 2-year-olds do.
That's
Kate,
exactly
Andrew, great children, and Yeah. So go check it out if you haven't seen it already. And Councilman, this is great too. You posted this on Facebook. You said, today I had the opportunity to visit the Healing Garden to walk with the families of the victims and take a moment to reflect on the 58 lives lost on the tragic October 1st evening. And Councilman, this is right in the area we were just talking about, where the sidewalk was painted. In that same general area is where the Healing Garden is located. And of course, annually we remember the 58 we lost, also the 2 that we've lost since then. A bell is told, we read the names, a bell is tolled, and a candle is lit. And I had to do it differently this year. It was a little strange because we had to do it more virtually this year. We could only get about 70 or so within the garden. And most of those folks that did come were family members of the victims. But we still managed to have the remembrance, and that was one of the things we wanted to make sure happened.
And I was there earlier in the day, and I was just planning on stopping by. It was a hard day for everybody. I had a different kind of role in that, where I was organizing with all the nonprofits and collecting blood in particular. But randomly showing up there and seeing a lot of people that I knew and who knew me. And so it was really interesting that Vegas is a very small town and everybody kind of knows everybody, and it's a comforting feeling to walk around and see a bunch of people that you know.
I know, Councilman, it's an interesting observation. I feel the same way. We're a big city, 2.5 million people all told in the Valley, but it seems like so many of us still know each other. It's got that kind of still small town feel that it had when I first came to town here. Tough day. So many of the people that I know you interacted with were, as we said, family members of the victims. Yeah. It seemed too that no matter who we were, we knew somebody at that event who either was killed, wounded, or thank God survived. But we all knew people that were there, and in fact, multiple people. And so again, that small town feel. There were only however many attended the concert that night, but it seemed like it touched our entire valley and the whole
everybody.
Yeah.
And it was such a tragic event. But part of being American, part of being human is remembering and thinking back and trying to be better tomorrow. That's the goal, and I think that's, for me, is walking into that safe, sacred space that the city really put a lot of energy, the city and the community put a lot of energy into building. It's about walking back and remembering what happened, but also thinking about how we can be better tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I know it means a lot to the families. Heard that, and I'm sure you did as well. It means a lot to them that we remember their loved ones year after year after year, and which we're going to continue to do. I see that going on in the city at the Healing Garden for always.
Yeah.
So, Councilman, shifting gears, we love volunteers. We love when they roll up their sleeves and help us do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to things like park cleanups. This took place out at Doc Romeo Park. You had a big cleanup out there. These folks just, you got to love Las Vegas again. These are just folks that decided to spend their Saturday, I think that was a Saturday, October 17th, just to came out and to help clean the park.
That's basically it. You get a trash picker-upper. There's probably a better name for that. I don't know what it is. A garbage bag. Get Outdoors Nevada is there, and they're there to kind of provide instruction, direction, give you materials. We have Christy Garnis from the city's team that has individually wrapped donuts and coffee. At this event, the Wynn employees showed up in force, so they had probably 25 people show up.
We love that.
I brought my kids. My kids played on the playground. I picked up trash around the playground. It's been a really awesome experience to clean up the parks, because in this pandemic, it's a great way to socially engage, clean up the park, do something right for the community, and have a good time. So it's been really fun, and we have several more parks in Ward 1. That's the plan, is to do all of the parks in Ward 1. So we've done 4 or 5 now. I do want to say the Buffalo Coalition, they've come out to every single one. They're really trying to carry favor, I think. But Terry Clark comes out and she brings her neighbors, and they show up to all the parks. And so
Thank you, Terry.
It's been fantastic, and Terry's a great advocate for her neighborhood and wonderful volunteer.
That's outstanding, and again, we love that. We've got a great team at the city that maintains our parks, but they can't get to everything. You get a big wind like we've had recently. Things fly around, you get everything blowing around, so it's just wonderful. You get a bunch of volunteers who can do, in a couple of hours what would take our crew, all day to do, potentially even into other days. Yeah. So we really appreciate that. And so if you're a Boy Scout troop, a Girl Scout troop, some civic organization, as Councilman mentioned, some group that's looking for an opportunity to help the community, whether it's for a merit badge or whatever, we want to hear from you. We'll be glad to help you.
Just come out and get to know your neighbors. Get to know the park system. It's super fun. There's Vegas in particular, the Valley, but Vegas in particular has some of the best parks in the country. I have traveled a lot. I bring my kids to parks everywhere you go. We have great parks here. We have a great trail system. So come out and see the parks if you haven't seen them before. Yeah, absolutely. And council's had a lot to do with making that happen. So that's true. Very good. And then Councilman, really good too, I want to mention to everybody, it's been Halloween season, different this year because of COVID, but we still managed to have the creature feature out at Mirabelli Park. That's right. Movie. Coco, yeah. Coco, a fantastic family-friendly movie. And the city's team does a fantastic job. Again, thanks to Christy Garnis and the team for putting it on. And Coco's just a fantastic movie, and it's our way of kind of giving back. Yeah. Difficult to go to the movies in person. You can't do that now. Things have changed. So I know a lot of people in the community really appreciate being able to come out, bring the family. We were socially distanced, but to see a movie, it's a great movie, Coco. If you haven't seen it, it's a wonderful movie. And so we still got that feel of the holiday. You gotta still entertain your kids. Yeah. They don't stop. Yeah, exactly, and they don't. Pandemic can't keep them down. Yeah, exactly, and don't want to shortchange them just because of the times we're in. So, great job there. And then you had this. You posted this on Facebook. You said Team Knudsen had a great time at the McNeil Estates neighborhood block party this past weekend. Looks like some folks from fire joined you at this as well. Melanie from the fire department did a great job of educating some of the residents about fire safety in their houses and protecting children. And Laura McSwain, who's the president of McNeil Estates, put together this wonderful block party with hundreds of people that showed up, and we walked. Look at Doreen, you put her to work. She's painting. Yeah, what else would she do? She has to get to work. We handed out some stuff about the city. The fire department was there. We had Metropolitan Police Department there. There was food trucks. So it was a great event. McNeil Estates always does a fantastic job, and Laura McSwain. Is that like an annual thing, Brian, that they do there? This is their 11th or 12th year. So normally, without the pandemic, it's about 500 people that show up in a block area. Gotcha. And everybody cooks food, and there's a band. There's bounce houses, there's fire trucks. This year Laura separated it in different sections of the neighborhood, and it was a walking block party. So Laura and the team did a great job. Creative idea. That's a great way. Again, thinking outside the traditional way of doing things because of the pandemic. Well, great job, Councilman. We're going to go ahead and take a short break right now, but when we return, Ward 1 has a great team that works very hard to meet the needs of its residents, as we've been saying, and you're going to meet one of the enthusiastic and committed team members right after this, so please stay with us.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Mom, can we get some ice cream? Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Welcome back, everyone. Carl Catarata has recently joined Team Knudsen. He's currently a student at UNLV studying political science with a minor in leadership and civic engagement. Carl is very active in the community, and we're glad that he's here today so that you can put Councilman a name with a face when people contact the office, right?
That's right. So I have the whole team now, Carl, Dorian, Antonia. It's what makes up the Ward 1 Team Knudsen, because it takes a whole village to support Ward 1.
It does, and you have, because you're so engaged in the community, we hear from people in the community a lot, and your folks help coordinate all the needs that people have out there. So Carl, welcome to the program. Great to have you here. Introduce yourself to the audience here a little bit. You're a native son here. You're born and raised in Las Vegas, so you know this community as well as anybody because this is your hometown, right?
Yeah, David. I was born and raised East Vegas and went to Valley High School, currently going to UNLV, and I'm really glad to be working with the city of Las Vegas.
Now, Carl, this is kind of right up your alley, right? Because you're majoring in political science at UNLV, right? So you're getting a mentor in Councilman Knudsen to show you how politics in the real world actually works, different from maybe in a book, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Working with Councilman Knudsen is a great blessing. I have the opportunity to, talk to many constituents, learn a lot from different council members and different colleagues at the city on the 7th floor. But it's been a great time overall.
Yeah, and you've done a great job. Councilman, one of the things I know that you wanted to do is communicate with your constituents in the way most convenient for them, social media being one of them. Of course, I completely agree. Our staff here at the city were very involved in that too, because if that's where the conversations are, we want to be involved in the conversations. Carl has really helped along those lines, hasn't he?
He's amazing at it, and it was one of the most peculiar, eye-opening experiences for me is when you talk to the constituents. When I knocked on doors, and even once I'm in office, they were very, very clear and consistent, saying they want to know what I think, and the only way they'll know what I think is if I post it on Facebook or Twitter. And I push back, saying, "Well, why don't you just call me and ask me what I think?"
That takes too long, Councilman. What are you talking about?
The world has changed,
Yeah.
and so. Carl has an amazing ability to help with social media and do social media, and so when people are reading the Twitter and the Facebook and all the social media posts, it's really Carl that's kind of helping me figure out the messaging and how we talk in 140 characters about the great things that we're doing in the city of Las Vegas.
No, it's really important. Here at the city, we're all learning that. We've all and have learned that lesson. It's funny. In the old days, Carl, you can relate to this. When I first started at the city, you kind of had to get a press release out there. That was the only way that the word was going to get out on something you were doing. But I think you'll vouch for me on this. Now we can speak directly to our constituents. We have 260,000 followers on Twitter at the city, and Councilman has got a very large following on Facebook and Twitter himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like, Twitter, Facebook, Nextdoor are great mediums to communicate to constituents. And I feel like, when it comes to building a community to make life better, I just think that social media and different forms of communication to get to our constituents are great forms of making it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl, give folks some tips out there. If they've got an issue they want to raise with the city, what in your mind is the best way for them to reach out and really connect with Councilman Knudsen about something that's going on, maybe something they want to share, a concern, maybe just an idea? What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like, phone calling the office is also the first great way. A second way, I know that the county and the city are great partners on Twitter when it comes to responding to constituents. So I feel as if that, just making sure that you figure out if you're in the city, if you're in the county, which jurisdiction you're located in, and then going from there to communicate to which specific office. But, Twitter, Facebook, Nextdoor are great tools for constituents to utilize to get to the right source.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl brings up a really good point, Councilman. People are very confused sometimes which jurisdiction they're in because their address may say Las Vegas, Nevada, but they may not be in the city limits. And your team fields a lot of questions that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the city, but we help shepherd them as to where they can get those answers, right?
And Carl used to work for one of the federal delegation members here in Nevada, and so he has a wealth of experience that even I don't have. I don't know the federal government agencies as well as I should. Carl actually knows them far better, and so when people are asking about some of those issues that we're all learning about now related to PPE and unemployment claims and veterans issues and mailbox issues. It's the federal government that has to help with some of that, and Carl's been really great at kind of knowing how to navigate the federal system.
Yeah, really helpful. That's great, Carl, because as we've seen, people sometimes don't know who to contact at the federal or state level, but they know, hey, I can get in touch with my city council member, so I'm going to reach out to his office or her office, whether or not it's the right place to go or not. And so we field those and help them out as best we can, regardless of the question, right?
Yeah, no, I think that reaching out to your government, should be an easy thing to do, right? We're here to serve the residents. We're here to help out residents. So, feel free to contact any number of the city, and I know that the city will be able to point you in the right place.
Yeah, here, Carl. Very well said and very true. People will say, well, I called the city and they didn't do anything. And that's not my experience here. When people call, regardless, as Carl just mentioned, no matter who they call, someone in this organization is going to get on it and try to help them out. That's just the way we do business.
That's the way I was trained. I was trained here, and so So outside of Twitter and Facebook, I ask people to just text me. Texting is a little bit convenient because I'm with kids, but text me or call me because that's a fast way to get a hold of me too. If you go on social media with Facebook or Twitter, Carl's probably going to be watching that, and if you go on email, Antonia's probably watching that. If you call, Dorian's probably watching that, and so however you want to do it. Reach out, and we're going to figure out how to meet your needs.
Well, here, kudos to all of you for doing that. Carl, you know what? Generally, I know the councilman gets the final word, but I'm going to give you the final word today because you've done such a good job. Anything else you want to add for the viewers out there? Something important to know about the Ward 1 office?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, David, and thank you, Councilman. Our job is to build community, to make life better, right? I'm born and raised in East Side, Las Vegas. Went to school in Valley High School and going to UNLV, and just seeing the different parts of Las Vegas, we have such an opportunity to continue building our city, and I think that by working together and collaborating together, we're able to make our life better in this community. So thank you so much to the Councilman and to David.
All right, well done, Carl, and congratulations. You're clearly an asset to Councilman and to the city as well. So. Good job to you as well. So
I don't need any last words. He speaks fine.
He's outstanding.
He speaks fine, yeah.
He'll be sitting in this seat, shortly too, probably. I think he's got the capabilities. So, Councilman, we want to tell everybody out there, hey, we always want to hear from you. So if there's something you'd like to share with Councilman Knudsen, you can find him on Facebook and Twitter. Carl will help out with that. You can also contact the councilman just by picking up the phone, as he mentioned, 702-229-6405. Probably talk to Dorian in that case. Or you can send an email. And that's to bknudsen@lasvegasnevada.gov, and Antonia will probably field that.
Actually, I'll get that one.
Okay, well, okay, that'll come right to you. That's your personal.
You go to Ward 1 at lasvegasnevada.gov, then we all get it, but I'll get that one.
That's going to go directly.
I'll respond to the emails.
All right, well, good stuff. Councilman, great job. Carl, thank you so much for being on the show. Continued success to you, and we're glad that you're with us here at the City of Las Vegas. Continued success. Councilman, we'll have you back here in 6 more weeks with another update from Ward 1. Then.
I appreciate it. Thanks, David.
All right, everyone. Well, don't miss our next show beginning on November 12th with Ward 3 City Councilwoman Olivia Diaz. You can now catch all of our KCLV shows on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Access City Council. We'll see you next time around. Please stay safe, everyone.